But before we even go on social media and start developing content, I think
Hmm.
people often skip the step of the
Hmm.
digital marketing strategy. It's like going into business without a business plan. Then
Right.
you're just posting on all these platforms. You don't know if that's where your target market is.
Welcome to today's episode of the E-commerce Revolution podcast, where we dive into the dynamic world of e-commerce and uncover the tools and tactics that empower today's emerging entrepreneurs. Our podcast is part of our community with the same name. The community is geared to providing emerging e-commerce entrepreneurs with courses, content, and coaching to help you all launch and grow successful businesses. Check us out at ecomrevolution.co. Let's get things started. Welcome to another episode of the E-commerce Revolution podcast. I'm Ramin, your host. Today, we're diving deep into the world of AI and social media marketing. Our guest today is an absolute powerhouse when it comes to the world of social media and AI. Deborah is a nationally recognized speaker, social media strategist, and AI educator who has helped thousands of small businesses master digital marketing. She's worked with major brands like Google, Verizon, JP Morgan, and is known for making complex marketing strategies simple, practical, and doable, especially for small business owners. She's also at the forefront of teaching entrepreneurs how to use AI to streamline content creation, increase engagement, and drive more sales. So if you're looking to up your social media game without burning out, you're in the right place today. So without any further ado, please welcome Deborah to the E-commerce Revolution podcast. Deborah, thank you for being here today.
Hi, Ramin. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm happy to have you here. I love the cowboy hat. Awesome. I feel
Just
like I
get
should
the
have some.
Texas vibe.
That's right. I was going to say I should be wearing the cowboy hat since I'm sitting here in Austin. But I love it. Looks awesome. Looks great. Tell everybody where you're calling in, because you told me where you're dialing in from, and it sounds amazing.
I am in Ventura, originally known as San Buenaventura, I found out.
Ah,
I'm on an
I,
adventure here in the
I,
Central Coast.
I love it. And what is outside your window that everybody would probably love to see?
The- I live at a place called Surfers Point. So all the surfers come here to surf, and it's just wonderful to watch them all day long, all
Oh,
ages, a lot of female surfers. So I just, you can hear the ocean, and it's a joy to be here.
I miss the beach, and yes, that part of that part of the country is absolutely amazing. I am jealous. You're very lucky. You're very lucky. Well, thank you again for coming on and talking. I know that the world of AI is, a passion of yours. You are deep in it. You are educating. I've watched so many of your videos out there. You simplify it. And I know, the world of social media is also an area that is important to you, an area that you also do, education on. And I want to morph those worlds together because I feel like there's a lot of work, right? We're being told to repurpose content, create new content, and I think that AI is playing an incredibly important role in that, but a lot of people don't know where to start. But you and I start big at first and, talk about, AI is really changing the way entrepreneurs think about everything, including social media. What's your take on where the biggest opportunities are for e-commerce brands, those people that we work with right now in the world of social media and AI?
Well, I just think it's a wonderful time to be an e-commerce brand because, there's so much going on outside of us that we can't control, but in our business we can control. And one of the things that we need as an e-commerce brand is as many clients as possible, traffic to our website. And in order to get traffic to our website, we need to have our product descriptions optimized. We need to have the proper keywords to our website. We need to make sure that we're coming up in search engines. And now there's so many integrations on all the different websites that, Shopify and Squarespace and even WordPress that people use where they can incorporate AI to be a part of your team. I think the biggest challenge for small business and e-commerce businesses, you have this great idea, you have this great product, but you may not have the capital to hire the extensive team you need. Now, for like, I don't want to sound like a sales girl for OpenAI ChatGPT because I'm not, but I should be.
If they only would give you a few dollars off this.
I got Canva to pay me. I'm a Canvassador now.
Oh,
Oh,
nice.
yeah, so I'm working on Sam. I got to talk to him and see what's going on. 5.0.
That is Sam Altman for anybody who's wondering who Sam is.
Yeah. So for $20 a month, you can have a copywriter. You can have an SEO optimizer. You can have help making dynamic, vivid graphics that stop the scroll. Not just graphics, but cool videos with Sora that's included with ChatGPT, Dolly that's included with the paid version of ChatGPT. And this day that we are recording this, May 1st, allegedly they were saying that ChatGPT 5.0 is coming out.
Wow,
And I'll tell you about some of the things about 5.0 and what to expect with that.
Yeah, that's amazing. And just to set the stage, everything you just described right now. I wake up in the morning and honestly, I think sometimes the first thing I do is I'm tapping into AI for various things. I'm getting the day organized, getting some content organized, working on some content ideas. I feel, because I'm a solopreneur and, you can experience this too, that you have a friend in the business, right? In some ways, you have a partner, or you have an employee and you're working side by side with this thing. A lot of people name them. By the way, do you name your
mine's
AI?
Charlie or Chaz. Sometimes
I like
a male,
it.
sometimes a female. And by the way, what you were talking about, there's actually a feature that many people are not aware of that ChatGPT has and Gemini has with Google is, there's two buttons on your ChatGPT. There's the microphone button, which every time I'm walking my dog, I'm like, okay, I write at least 3 emails. And if I were in my office, I would be procrastinating these emails. But while I'm walking, and while you're walking, entrepreneurs, you're in your creative mode. Because to walk, your left and right brain has to interact. So things flow easier. You're in your great space for that. So you can dictate a message. But the other button right here is a brainstormer. So
yes,
in mine, it's an Australian guy. He's very handsome in my mind. And so like when I have ideas, he'll be like, but Deborah, did you think about this? And is your target? And you could literally have like a 30-minute conversation back and forth. And when you're done with the conversation, ChatGPT will give you a transcription so you can capture. He actually had me rename the subtitle of my book because he didn't think it was going to be marketable for the masses.
Amazing. I mean, amazing. And I joked, I was showing my wife a prompt this morning. It was a coach, like turning ChatGPT into your own advisor and advising you on everything. And I thought, boy, we're sitting here, we're taking instruction from an advisor when sometimes human beings have also told us the same thing, but it maybe didn't resonate. And all of a sudden this thing that writes it out or is talking back to you, we're putting a lot of emphasis on this. We're putting a lot of value into what this is saying, but this becomes part of your business, right? This is every part of your life, actually, more than anything else.
Yeah, and I mean, the whole purpose of generative AI and these large language models is they're trained to predict your next thought. And the more you use it, it's kind of like, say you had an intern that was working with you. The more time you spend with him or her training them, the better they're going to be able to perform the task that you give it because you've spent the time cultivating that relationship, telling them what you like. I always use the example of coffee. Like if you tell your intern, get me a cup of coffee, and they bring you a cup of coffee, but what you really wanted was an iced Americano with a splash of almond milk and, a little bit of whipped cream on top with 3 stevias. But that's not what you asked. And so it's really important in using a ChatGPT or a Gemini or a Claude or a Microsoft Pilot. These are all the different types. I prefer ChatGPT because it has the ability to make your information private so that it's not training. The large language model isn't training off your data. It's automatically in the settings under data controls set to on that it's training. It says help make it better for everyone. You have to toggle it off.
So you do that. You recommend that everybody go and turn that off.
I make sure all my clients turn it off.
Okay.
Because it would be good for everyone, but do you want everyone to have your information and your data?
Probably not.
Oh, and I would never put any like financials, any social security, any, that kind of information in there, but you're going to be putting more and more information in there. The other
Sure.
reason why I prefer ChatGPT as of this recording, anything can change
Could
every day.
change, right? Yes, yeah.
Everything can change as of this date, May 1st, 2025, on the record,
Yeah.
is you can customize it. So there is a section called customization in settings where you can tell them what kind of business you have, what kind of e-commerce business you have. You can even put the tone, the style you want it to write. You can even put your target account. You can even put, I want you to be the very best business developer and think with that attitude. And then if you have special projects, like I have a special project, which is my doctorate, I'm getting my doctorate in organizational leadership with the impact of AI in the workplace. I have to write
Nice.
constant papers. And so when
Right.
I write papers and I have them do research for me, like look in Google Scholar and find me peer reviewed articles, I make sure that everything that they give to me is academic.
Wow.
So you can give
And
different instructions.
yeah, and I noticed that within the projects, yeah, which is also probably what you're saying too. In the projects section, that's where you can load up files too, and say,
Yes.
here's my persona, here's my buyer persona, here's my
Yes.
ideal client profile. Which, by the way, ChatGPT probably worked with you on anyway in the first place to create, but to get it in there to really educate it. This is the tone I want for this section, this project, right?
Right. Here's what I want to tell your e-commerce listeners.
Yeah.
If you are not using AI, then you are working way too hard.
Right.
And
Right.
and all of the AI platforms, this is what I love about being an e-commerce business right now in 2025, is all of these platforms, whether it's Anthropic or Google, they're competing to improve their models so that they're easier for you to use. For example, everyone was like, oh, you got to know prompt engineering. If you're using AI, you got to understand prompts. And like I said, you do need to be specific, and you don't just in a conversation give orders. You also ask questions. Was that clear? I always ask my AI, does this make sense? Do you have any questions for me? Like if I'm working on a digital marketing strategy for a client and I give them my client's information, then I'll say, do you have questions? And they'll come out with like 20 questions. And once we add those questions, it'll be so wonderful. But the new version, 5.0, that's coming out either today or in the upcoming days of May, I saw ChatGPT 4.5 says expires April 30th. So that's why.
Oh,
And you just got to go on X and see what Sam Altman is tweeting
yeah.
to find out the latest and the greatest. That's how he communicates. So the new version is you don't have to be a great prompt engineer because it's going to organically predict what you need, and you're not going to have to switch back and forth between 3.5, 4.0, 4. Omni, 4.5. It's just depending on the question. It's like having an automatic car instead of a shifting gear. So a
Yeah.
shifting gear, a manual transmission, which I loved my 280ZX back in the day, T-top, burnt. It was awesome. But now you don't have that. You have manual. You just put it in drive, boom, it will take you.
It'll figure out what it needs. It'll figure out what language it needs to tap into, right?
Is that cool or what?
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean,
Yeah.
because I think the world of prompting, we'll get deep into this the side of content, but I think, I don't. What I do, I don't consider what I do prompting necessarily. I have a conversation with
Yes,
it.
perfect.
And I discuss, and I do what you do. I ask questions just like you would of an employee, right? You would
Yes.
say, "Is everything that I said clear to you? Anything I
Right.
can answer?" And then go at it. Do your thing. Now that I told you how to do it all.
Right. And
So,
one of the things I noticed with my real life virtual assistant and also with my chat GPT is you have to give them the outcome.
yeah,
Right? So if you say you are a copywriter for an e-commerce business that sells this, write a social media post that will lead to engagement to convert into sales. Don't just say write a social media post. You're not finishing the instructions. So if your virtual assistant, your ChatGPT doesn't know the outcome, then they're just going to give you a copy to post to post. You don't want to do that. You need conversions in order to
right.
stay in business, especially now.
Yeah. Well, so ChatGPT a while back used this phrase that I love, and I incorporated it into these questions. It said, "Content is king, but consistency is the killer." Okay, and I love that because, you've got to be consistent. So let me ask you this: what AI tools or processes would you recommend to e-commerce entrepreneurs to consistently engage out there? Let's just use social media. If we need to be on social media constantly and we need to be consistent, what would you recommend that they use?
But before we even go on social media and start developing content, I think people often skip the step of the digital marketing strategy. It's like going into business without a business plan. Then
Right.
you're just posting on all these platforms. You don't know if that's where your target market is. I had somebody that was doing like a wrinkle skincare and they were posting only on Instagram. I'm like, who's your target market? They're like 45 to 60-year-olds. I'm like, they're not on Instagram, they're on Facebook.
Right.
So the digital marketing strategy is
Happens first.
yeah, it happens
Okay.
first. That's
All
the
right. So you can use
zero.
ChatGPT for this part, right?
Yes. So you
Okay.
say, I am this type of e-commerce business. This is my unique value proposition. If you don't know that, ask them to help you with it. I actually created a GPT for my clients to help them with their UVPs. So they just put their idea of the UVP, and then depending on the style, the GPT makes it. I can give it to your audience if they want it
Yeah.
to.
Would
I'll give it to
love
you
that.
as a bonus
Absolutely. That would
from
be
this.
very nice.
Let's
Thank
give
you.
you guys the GPT. So, and we'll talk more hopefully about GPTs. So,
Yes.
digital marketing strategies first. And incorporating the digital marketing strategy is not just social media, but that's email. Because I always tell people social media is where they become aware of you. Email is when they're interested in you and they subscribe to your email newsletter. They start the relationship, you're cultivating that lead, and then they can make the decision because you've done a great offer after you give great value about your product, infomercial, then you do the irresistible offer, they take action. In marketing, we call this AIDA, AIDA,
Nice.
awareness, social media, interest, get on your email list, cultivate the relationship by courting them, by giving them great email, which I'm sure you help them with that. And then you do the irresistible offer, they take that action to purchase. And then you
Nice.
make them your loyal clients. Then you do the content.
Okay.
So,
So
and
now,
in
so you got the game plan and use ChatGPT to help you build the game plan. But now
yeah.
you've got to start developing, and I'm assuming you're going to probably say ChatGPT is also going to be incredible at helping you develop the content. But are there other tools that we can use to create that consistency? I mean, are we going to use a social media management platform that you happen to love? Is there anything out there so we don't get overwhelmed? We just plug it all in and there's automation happening.
Yes. And when it comes to the social media content, I just want to make sure you don't just want to ask them, because you could say, make me a 30-day content calendar, and then they'll make you a very basic generic calendar. I've trained my AI, ChatGPT, to create, every time I say I want a social media post, it'll have a captivating hook. It'll have juicy content with keywords that are your product description keywords. You need that to get traffic to your website. The founder, Mosseri of Instagram, he's not the founder, the CEO, Adam Mosseri, you can follow him on Instagram. He just announced, you can Google it, it's on YouTube, that hashtags mean nothing on Instagram. So don't worry about the 30 hashtags or even the 3. He says everything is keywords. So you need to ask ChatGPT to give you the keywords in the paragraph. Then you need a call to action. If you don't have a this is the anatomy of a post. If you don't have a call to action and people aren't commenting or DMing or going to your website, and you don't want to say the word website, link, or comment because those words get flagged on Facebook and LinkedIn. So if you do say those words, you could put spaces in between, and that's the way the bots don't stop you. And it's because that takes traffic away from that website. And after you do the call to action, you could put a few hashtags, but they really don't mean anything on at least Instagram. Okay, so what was the question again?
Well, the question was more about, like the consistency, these tools, and you got, you said already, let's first develop the game plan, the strategy, then let's start, being very, very deliberate in the content we're creating, keywords, and you said you train your AI to really, the output that you get out of there is strong. But then we want to like get the content out there. How do, what are we doing to get that content out there on a regular basis? Because this is where people get overwhelmed. They
Yes.
they melt down, right? Oh my God, even it happens to me too. I'm like, I have 40 clips from different podcasts to get up there. How do I get it all up there?
Okay, so to help you from being overwhelmed, I really am very determined with that because that's what I'm all about, success with ease and grace. So what I do, and you may do something different, I have a Google sheet, you could use an Excel sheet, and I have all of the content in categories. Some people call it buckets or themes. And the categories that I suggest an e-commerce business use is number one, like say Monday was an educational post, right? Where you're educating them on your product. It's like a product demonstration, right? This is how the product works, this is how you use it, etc. So that's Monday, a product post. So you can batch create. It's kind of like, I think of it like if you're working with a fitness trainer and they say, well, it's all about abs are in the kitchen. So we need to have a consistent food plan. So let's make the food plan for the week and then we'll batch cook everything so you can be consistent. Same thing, Ramin. Very easy. Okay, so Monday is education. Tuesday is testimonial. And the category for that is social proof. People don't believe what you say about your product. They believe what your customers say, right? Don't you?
Reviews or testimonials. Okay.
Exactly. So what you start doing, and all of you e-commerce business right now, if you don't already have an automation with Zapier or Make, every time somebody purchases, you want to send out an email for them to, if they love the product, write a review. That's what my dentist says. If you love the experience, if you don't love it, don't write a review.
And those two tools are great. There's also Judge.me if you're on Shopify, and Looks, and all of these different ones. So whatever you do, get the testimonials, is what you're saying. Get the reviews.
Get the reviews. Exactly. Then 3, like Wednesday would be, let's say that's a brand awareness post. So them getting to know the story, what inspired you to create this product. I just spoke at USC Business School, and this young 18-year-old was in the hospital with cancer, and she had to take off her sleeve to put something on. So she made this product that, made so that you can insert whatever you needed to do with the sleeve. And I was like, oh my God. And your story of surviving cancer and how that gave you hope and just like that will make somebody want to buy the product. It's not just a product. It's the story behind it, the brand. So every Wednesday you have, and you don't have to stick to these days. I'm just giving you suggestions.
Sure.
Then Thursday, like a throwback Thursday, maybe it's when you're doing something in the community. Maybe you were doing a service project, or maybe you were at a farmer's market, or maybe you're doing something completely, not with your brand, but you were just helping. A lot of millennials and Z generation, if that's your target market, appreciate brands that are doing something in the community. Maybe you're doing a beach cleanup or anything. Maybe you're just at an event. People like to see you, the founders out in nature. I recently attended Social Media Marketing World for digital marketers and creators, and they said the best thing that a business can do in 2025 is to be their own influencer, to be their own ambassador.
Wow, that's great.
I was like, oh, okay, that's low cost. You just got to get yourself on camera, or you don't, once I tell you about my next AI tool. And then Friday, the last day, that's your call to action, which is what, I'm sure Ramin has been sharing with you, is you give them the lead generator to get on the email list. And once they're on your email list, you start the courting process. And, you could just ask for the sale at that point as well, if you've built enough credibility. But all the marketing gurus say, give, and ask. And you have to earn the right before the sale. You can't just go in for the sale. It's kind of like if someone just meets you and they're like, will you marry me? You're like, I don't even know you. I don't like you. I don't trust you. You got to build the relationship.
Yeah. Well, what do you do on Saturday and Sunday then? Take time off? Think?
You could. You could take time off if you like. Consistency, I rather have you do 3 to 4. It's just like if I was your trainer, 3 to 4 quality, great posts, than post every day and have it garbage, right?
I'm so happy you're saying this, because I do feel that there is a movement towards like rapid fire, not a lot of thought. Oh, AI can just ripple through this, instead of taking that time to really be authentic, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It just doesn't convert to sales. You could
Yeah.
post every day with AI, but if it's not authentically you, and like if you wanted to do a simple post on a Saturday, you could ask a question. This is so easy, okay? You can even have ChatGPT write the questions. You could make it focus group Saturday. You could say, if there was one thing about this, like in your product arena, what would you like? What would you dream of? Right?
Nice.
Like,
I
like
like
say
that.
you were selling earrings. You could say, "Oh, I would love earrings that were reversible. They were yellow on one side and blue on another." You're like, "I never thought
Look at
of that.
that.
I'm going to create that, right?" Or, "I would love a hat, but I would like a different rim so I could change out the rims." Oh my God, we're going to add that to the product line. I did
Right.
this with my clients, and they said, "You know what, Deborah? We love digital marketing. We'd love to do what you're saying, but we're scared to be on camera." So then I created a whole series, how to be confident to speak on camera. And it was like a
Nice.
whole new stream of revenue for me that I didn't think of from asking that question.
That's great. So, all right. So buckets are important. You create this content. You use a simple Google Doc, and you put everything in a bucket.
Like a sheet.
Are
Yeah.
you using anything to push that content out there easy? Are you using a later.com, Hopper, HQ, Metricool, anything like that? Or do you just go directly onto the platform and do it?
So what I do and how you can save yourself time and energy is I have a wonderful virtual assistant. And in an ideal world, we don't always do this by the month. We've been doing it by the week. Is we'll get together and it takes us less and less time. Like in 30 minutes, we can create the content for the week. When I say create it, like we'll have the idea, we'll strategize the idea. Sometimes I feel like I could do it without her, but no, I really do need her. I need her because she schedules it so you're going to get the best results if you schedule Facebook and Instagram in the Meta app.
Okay.
Okay. Because if you do a third party app, I do know my digital marketing guru friend does use Metricool, and she says she hasn't noticed a big difference. She runs an agency, so she has to schedule through Metricool. I haven't personally used it. I'm just paranoid to use a third party because I've noticed anytime I've used a third party, I get so much less engagement. So it's not just about posting. Your your metrics to see that if a post is giving you ROI is, are people engaging? Are they commenting? Are they liking? Are they sharing? And if they're not, then your Metricool didn't serve you. It served you functionally, but strategically it didn't convert. So you can see if it does. So she uses, LinkedIn has a scheduler, YouTube has a scheduler. So she does that for me.
Okay.
And
All right.
my assistant is overseas, and I pay her a monthly fee and she does all of that. So I don't do that part. And
Okay.
I'll come up with the idea. Maybe I'll do one video a week, and I use for short videos I use Veed. They
Okay.
have
Yeah.
AI editing for longer videos for streaming on multiple platforms like Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, all at the same time. I use StreamYard for that. I can give you links for those.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how we do it. I'm sure there are better ways to do it, but
Or just other ways,
other ways, yeah.
other ways of doing it. Now, okay, so AI is obviously playing a very important role. There's still human beings involved in this mix here.
Right.
What about this mixture of short form video versus imagery versus just simple text, depending on the platform that you're on? Like, how do you mix it up? And I know obviously in the world of Instagram it's very important. You got to have that look, right? Your grid has to be kind of laid out. Is that as important anymore, or is it really
No.
just more about the content?
The grid looking good stopped when TikTok became popular during the
That's
pandemic.
it. Yeah.
So when TikTok became popular, because is more younger and organic and more authentic. So
Yeah.
then people stopped perfecting their grid and worried about if they didn't have this, that, because that just became less important.
Right.
So when you think about platforms, the younger generations are more the vertical platforms, and it's really because of attention span is shorter. So they're not reading or watching, they're scrolling. It's a vertical up and down. So if you have an audience, a target market that's under 40, you're definitely going to want to be on a Instagram, TikTok, and or YouTube Shorts. Do not sleep on YouTube. So
Yeah.
YouTube is owned by Google, and Google is a monopoly. And they tried to break up the monopoly, and then they didn't, right?
Right.
It's still
Right.
there.
Second biggest search
So,
engine out there. It's a
exactly. And
discovery point. And shorts are, I mean, they even now have shorts, by the way, in the Google link. Short videos there's a link which just pulls up all of the videos from YouTube. So shorts are a big, big push on their
shorts are
end.
bigger than ever. And what they did to help e-commerce businesses is now they are SEO searchable. So it's important
Interesting.
when they ask you to put your caption that the
Right.
keywords of your, don't skimp on that and just put a few little words.
Right.
Have your ChatGPT assistant help you write the description for the shorts with the keywords, because people have been discovered from a YouTube shorts. I've bought a book from finding a YouTube short. I'm like, oh, I didn't know this book was out there.
Yeah.
I want to read this.
So do you, on the short side, I mean, caption, I think it's wonderful you're saying that, because a lot of times people think just do the caption, do the short. They don't bother doing the caption part of it. You mentioned Veed. Now, can I load up a long form video into Veed and have Veed create a bunch of
Yes.
clips?
Yes, StreamYard does that too.
StreamYard
So-
does that too. Off of
Yeah.
like if you do a podcast, you can do that. Riverside, Cast Magic is
It's
another
not
one out there.
perfect, I will tell you, with
Okay.
with any of them. They're still
Yeah.
perfecting it. It's in beta, both Veed and StreamYard. So Veed does so many things, especially if you hate being on camera. Because say you have an e-commerce product for cowboy hats, you tell them what your business is, and they'll write a script and even put in B-roll with like cowboy hats, and then you can
Nice.
switch out their hats with your actual hats, and they have music and they edit it. And sometimes it needs a little adjustment with the editing, but it's like what the time that it would take you, it's sped up. What
That's
else
awesome.
and the other thing you could do with Veed is, if you don't know what to say, you can either have Veed create a script for you, or ChatGPT can create a script and you can paste it in. They have a teleprompter.
Yeah.
And when you have the teleprompter, one of my clients who's a landscaper was like, oh, but that's a skill in itself. I'm like, they make it really easy. They have a little rabbit if it's fast, and they have a little turtle if it's slow, and you just slide it over. And then you
Wow.
practice like you're reading a story to your child or whoever. And
Yeah.
then it positions your eyes so it's exactly at the camera. And what I recommend that people do, this is a trick that I learned from my mentor, who is a famous billionaire neighbor of mine, Oprah. And Montecito the other day, I'm like, where's Megan? Where's Oprah? Now that I live over here. I'm like,
That's right.
I'm gonna run into them. So Oprah said when she started her talk show, she wasn't thinking that she was talking to a camera with a million people staring at her. She was imagining one stay-at-home mom whose life she could transform.
Yeah, that's
Think about your
wonderful.
product. Think
Yeah.
about who it helps. Think if you wanted to help someone and they were sitting in front of you. So when you're talking, think of it like that. It's going to change your emotionality. You're not going to sound robotic. If you truly have compassion and empathy, which is what is missing from this world, bring an authenticity. That's what you need to convert more sales. Compassion,
Right.
empathy, authenticity for your customer, that you truly want them to have their pain and problem that's solved by your product.
That's true. That's true. Well, let's just go back to content really quickly, because
Yes.
I've been, I preach a little bit about this concept of human in the loop, stay and be the human in the loop. But I've got to say that, the output that I'm seeing every day is getting better and better, or maybe I'm just getting more relaxed with what I'm
No,
seeing.
it's getting better and better.
It's getting better. And I'm wondering, are we close to that point where we're just going to say, yeah, I'll take that. That's perfect. Not a whole lot of changes. It sounds like me, because maybe you did the upfront work that you talk about of really gearing your AI to know you and know your tone. Have you pulled out
Yes.
content and just said, I'm good, it's done?
It's like before, I used to have to correct it, but I'm going to give you a hack that I do with my social media. So like I told you, I have a dog. He likes to walk 7,000 to 10,000 steps a day.
Wow.
It's like 6 miles. He's only 6 pounds. Yeah, I lost 23 pounds since I got this dog.
Wow. This dog is in incredible shape.
He pulls. I feel like he's walking me. He's like a trainer. He's like, come on, let's get into zone 2. I'm like, okay, dog. He's like, you're slacking.
love it.
So during the walk, I will have my handy dandy microphone here and I will speak my social media post. And
Okay.
because my AI knows that I need a hook and a caption and a call to action and relevant hashtags, it will automatically take the 1 minute speaking dictation and rewrite it.
Wow.
And then,
Okay.
and right now I'm copying and pasting it, but pretty soon I'm going to be just have an automation to be able to put it automatically into a Google Doc.
Yeah.
And then I'll be able to eventually have that automatically go to social because I'll be able to trust that it's good. You know, right now I do check it and revise it, but it takes me now to revise it like less than a minute where it used to
That's
take
amazing.
me.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like I'm going to stop. I'm going to come to this place where, this human in the loop. Yeah. Yes, the human in the loop is probably fine, but this need to over edit the content is probably, going to dissipate more and more. This question comes up a lot, and I convinced my wife today, and she's been using the free version, and I'm like, I've been paying for this for the last 2 years, three. What are we up to now? 2.5 years of this, or 3 years? I'm like, you got to get on the paid version. What do you say to people who say, I'm just going to use the free version of all of these things and be fine? Are you good with that, or are you like, you need to
No, I'm not good with that. I mean, it's literally if someone said you can have your dream team staff, I'm going to give you capital so that you can have your marketing director, you can have your copywriter, you can have your editor, you can have your graphic designer, you can have your publicist, you can have your business coach, and I'm going to give you, the money for it. All you have to do is pay $20 a month. Would you say no to that? And that's
No, I wouldn't say no to
that's
that.
what
No.
you're doing on the free version. And just to rewind back with the copy thing, one way to make sure that it knows your voice besides talking to it a lot is you can give it a writing sample. And you
good.
can say,
Yes. Right.
how would you describe this tone and style for ChatGPT? And then ChatGPT said, oh, it's authentic, it's vulnerable, it's encouraging, it's positive, it's like a cheerleader to describe my style. And how it described my style, I put it in the customization.
Right.
Or
That's good.
if you're a prolific blogger, you could say, write it in the blogging style of Ramin. And then you would have already your
I feel that
information.
ChatGPT has already done a way better job than Ramin could have ever done writing. So hey, you don't want to load up anything that Ramin did. I'm like, I'll just take what you do. You just great. Well, all right. So I want to touch also on, we briefly talked about, this repurposing. We talked about the consistency and getting a lot of content out there, but quality content.
Yes.
Repurposing is a big deal. Taking that one thing, whether it's a blog and then turning it into social posts and things like that. What's your take, and do you have a strategy for repurposing? Because you create a lot of content, and I'm sure you don't want to be sitting around just creating all this one-off content. You want to do one that turns into 10.
Right. And if you don't know how to repurpose, ask your assistant, ChatGPT.
Boom.
Like, say you did this wonderful podcast, then you could, have the transcript and you could put the transcript into ChatGPT and say, write this into a 350-word blog that's optimized for traffic to come to my website. And then you could say, can you rewrite this and make it so that it's interesting in my newsletter and get people to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Take this episode, because there's so many little snippets, right?
Yeah.
You could say, make this into tweets that I can use on X, right? Take the transcript, make it into 20 tweets that I can use on X. Take this post and, have it to be attractive for startups and that I'm going to put on TikTok, right? So you can just ask, and you don't even have to ask it. Now what I've noticed with ChatGPT, and I can't wait for 5.0, how you go to McDonald's or In-N-Out, I live In-N-Out, they'll be like, would you like fries with that? And you're like, of course. Right. So ChatGPT will ask me, oh, would you like a social media post with that? Would you like a newsletter?
Yeah, it does, right. It's asking
would you like a blog with that? Pretty soon you're not going to have to. But repurposing is so important because content can be used in so many ways, and you could use it for different audiences. Say your product has different client avatars, where there's I kind of divide avatars into over 40 or under 40, right?
Okay.
Over 40, the X and the baby boomers; under 40, the millennials and the Z generation. They have different pains and problems. So you could have them rewrite a piece of content for the different target markets easily.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, and we use we repurpose a lot, but what happens is you end up with so much content, then you have to have the distribution of all that content, and that's in and of itself is another strategy, right, to get into place. But a good problem to have. It'd be amazing if you have tons of content. You ever come across anybody, or maybe in your early days, which is so funny because it's only a few years into this
I know, but they're
experiment. I feel like 10 years ago. You ever come across anything relevant to or close to AI guilt? Like you feel guilty that this was a little too easy? Yeah, I mean,
I have one of my clients, she's a money mindset. She's like, I just created this proposal. And by the way, for GPTs, I created GPTs to help me write proposals with the section.
We'll talk about GPTs in a moment. But I want to finish that thought on this.
I had a client that was a money mindset person. She was just telling me, Deborah, do you ever feel guilty that this is too easy? And it's because we have been socialized, no pain, no gain, put the axe to the grindstone. But the age of AI, I mean, if you listen, and that's what I do on the weekend, I binge watch all like the innovators of AI and the creators, and they talk about the doomsday and the scariness of it, which allegedly ChatGPT 5.0 is going to improve some of the safety features. But it's supposed to put us all out of work, that we're going to have early retirement because, the AI agents, which I don't know a lot about, allegedly are going to do the work for us.
Sure. Yeah.
So not only are we going to not have to write the content, but the posting and the scheduling and the engagement, all of that's going to be automated. Then what are we going to do? I'll find something to do. Go on a cruise to the Mediterranean Sea and Greece.
I don't know. I feel like obviously people need to build the agent, and then I know the agentic, and we had somebody on the podcast who is building e-commerce focused agents,
cool.
which is fascinating. In how that's all playing out. But I still think that. Strategy, right? The strategy still comes from here, right? There's got to be the spark, and maybe that's not necessary long term, but I still think, at least right now, something has got to come from here. You're taking a walk with your dog, and the spark is coming from your mind, out of your mouth, into your phone, and then ChatGPT is organizing it all together based on the way you like to speak or the way it's been trained, and then it's got an output for you, which made it faster, but you were still involved, right?
Yes. Yeah. And the prerequisite for that, I know you probably know this, everyone that's listening, but that you have crystal clarity on the unique value, your unique value proposition that your product has that others on the market don't. So there's not competition because of the way your product is made or designed or your brand, and also understanding the unique pain points of Avatar 1, Avatar 2, Avatar 3, how many avatars you have, and then communicating that messaging clearly in all of your marketing.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I feel like, we set out to talk about, social media, and we've done a lot of that, but I think there's also that, how to use it. I mean, I have clients who, point blank ask me, never touched it yet, Ramin. Where do I start? And my attitude is like, you know what? You start like you would with an old friend, maybe. Let's spark a conversation. Get in there and teach it. Talk to it about what you do, and tell it to ask you questions about what it wants to learn. I mean, you've got to, I think that you just got to get in there, right?
Oh, you mean with AI, not with social?
Yeah, with AI, exactly.
Yeah, definitely. How I started using AI was I was planning a party, and I had just come in town, and I had no time for the party. So I just asked, I said, I'm planning this kind of party. This is the people. Can you create like a shopping list? And it like organized everything, like things I wouldn't think of. And I was able to go to Instacart to buy it at Costco. And within 2 hours, it was at my house. And I was like,
Amazing.
wait a minute. I've had clients that like lost weight by using AI as their nutritionist trainer. Like, this is my goal. This is, what should I eat? Or this is what I have in the refrigerator. Can you make a food plan for the next coming, it's just amazing.
All right. Well, let's speak about the GPTs. And for anybody who's in ChatGPT, you look on the left-hand side and you see Explore GPTs. I've added maybe 20 of them, trying different things.
Oh, yeah.
What's your take on GPTs? Where are they going? How do you use them effectively?
Yeah, so that's another benefit of the paid version of ChatGPT. You can make GPTs for yourself and for your business. Any task that you repeat over and over should be automated, and there should be a process, right? We all know that about like SOPs, standard operation procedures, right? So it's the same thing. So I made a GPT for developing presentations.
Okay.
I made a GPT for developing speeches, because I give speeches, like my style of speech. And it created one of the best speeches I ever did. I got a standing ovation.
Nice.
And it knew exactly, from all of my time I've spent with AI, my tone. It even knew some of my stories. It's kind of scary. It knew my tagline, with the power of synergy, anything is possible. But it made speech writing so great. I use it, like I said, to make a unique value proposition to help my clients. I used it to do business development. I realized, where am I not using AI? Like, if I could have like my dream salesperson that would, do business developing and help me form relationships, because this is something that I'm sure would work with an e-commerce brand as well, is to have a strategic alliance referral. Like, even someone that has a similar product to you, but not the same, but they have the same audience. How could you form relationships with them? So you could have a strategic partnership GPT to find other products that you could cross promote. That's how Marie Forleo and Amy Porterfield and Gabrielle Bernstein have built their brands. They've cross-pollinated and promoted each other's emails. So that's how they grow and expand.
So do you build separate GPTs for each of these functions, like for the public speaking side versus? Okay, all right.
And for presentations, just in case any of you ever do presentations, there's a wonderful app, Gamma.
Oh, I love Gamma. Gamma is my favorite app.
It's one of my new favorite apps. Can we talk about favorite apps in our remaining 2 minutes?
Yes, absolutely. Gamma is like next level, in my opinion.
I give presentations all the time, and I thought I was doing good when I was with Canva. I'm like, okay, I moved from Microsoft PowerPoint to Google Slides to Canva, and now I'm on Gamma. I'm like,
talk about AI guilt. Sometimes Gamma gives me a little AI guilt when I look at how easy. Now, again, it started out, and I do my outline outside. I do that in ChatGPT, full-blown outline. But the way this thing can craft a beautiful presentation, you will agree that this is like
with
next.
Graphics and
unbelievable.
Yeah, I just was like, wow.
Yeah.
But there is an amazing free AI program. I'm not quite sure how you would use it with e-commerce. I have to think about that. But it's great to build your knowledge. It's called Notebook LM by Google.
Yeah.
You used it?
Yes, I have. I'm still trying to figure out the best use for it. I keep reading that, this person uses this. Like, it does a lot. It's hard to keep up.
I have this YouTuber that I watch that shows all of his uses. He's got a multi-million-dollar business. He actually used it as a business coach. He uploaded notes. He uploaded his Myers-Briggs. He uploaded his Strength Finder. He uploaded, individual information about him, about it. Every year, and I do this too, he does an annual review where I review my goals, where I hit, where I didn't. And he uploaded that, because what you can do with Notebook LM, it's a free Google platform for now. And you can upload YouTube videos, you could upload files, you could upload hundreds of different sources. And then what it does is it creates those sources into like a 14 to 20 minute mock podcast.
Wow. That's right. Those two people talking, right?
So how I use it for school is whenever I have readings for a class for my doctorate degree, I will put all of the readings I have for class, and then it will podcast all my readings for me. So while I'm walking, I'm listening and I'm getting the information.
Interesting.
And then it creates it into a mind map. It creates it into a summary. It creates it into all these files. And then you can, in the chat window, ask it questions. So I think just check it out, and you can figure out the different ways that you can use it. One of the examples that my YouTube guy used is he was going to go on a vacation in Guatemala, and for like a wedding, and he wanted to see certain things. And so he uploaded videos on Guatemala, did the itinerary of the bride, and then they did a podcast. And he says, but I want to travel to Guatemala like a local. What should I do and what should I not do? And they gave him like a whole itinerary, like a travel agent.
Yeah, that's amazing. And by the way, my wife and I and the kids are taking a trip this summer, and she has used ChatGPT now in the paid version to build out the entire itinerary. It is fantastic. We're not at that level, agentic. I think you could do it on the Pro, where it can actually go and book tickets for you.
They have Expedia plugins.
Yeah, they have the Expedia plugin. It's good, but you know what it's really good at? It knows the distance, obviously, between this city and this city, and it knows the transportation routes, and it can come back to you and say, no, you should be taking the bus, and here's the bus line you should be taking. And that's like a game changing. You know how much work it just cuts out of that process? I love the story about the Guatemala. I mean, and I've got to get into Notebook LM and play around with it more.
I just had an idea for e-commerce.
Tell me.
So say you have a specific product and you want to do like a competitor analysis. You could take videos of that your competitors have created on YouTube and like facts and figures about them. And then you can ask questions about like what is missing in the market, like before they go to market of this product, and how can I fill the gap with my new product?
That's great. Oh, I love that. On the fly, Deborah. On the fly. You just created that. I love that. But see, that's where we are. I think that's, we got to get in there and just experiment. You got to try these things. I mean, there's no way, what you do in there could be different from what I do from somebody else. Watch YouTube videos, great, do all that, but got to get in there and play with these things. Yeah. And, if there's fear, I get the fear, but I would probably get over the fear quickly and jump in.
Yeah, otherwise your competitor is going to jump in and get ahead of you. And this 100%. Is my advice to people that have hesitancy with jumping in the water is I want you to take on the persona of your 5-year-old self. And your 5-year-old self is curious, it's adventurous, it doesn't care what other people think. It's because we have that level of functioning in the brain that says, well, what if I make a mistake? And what if I do it wrong? And the fear of the judgment. So you want to be like a 2-year-old with an iPad. Just start pressing things. As long as you don't enter your financial information, as long as you don't share your client information, and you just start being curious and inquisitive, you're going to learn so much, and it's going to help you grow and really keep up with the competition, because your competitor is using AI. And if you don't jump on the bandwagon, you're going to get left behind.
Absolutely. No, I think that's amazing. And, these and more tools will come out. I subscribe to, there's an AI for that. And I am blown away. Yeah. It's a newsletter that comes out once a day. And the number of AI tools that are on there every single day. Now, some of them are, people experimenting, and who knows if they're going to last long, but some of them are really powerful. But you're just blown away by how many there are and how many are entering into the marketplace. And, we should be thinking about building those as well,
Yeah, when you look at venture capital, where is the funding going? AI.
Yeah, it's all AI. Yeah.
All AI.
Yeah. Well, I think that, I look at this, social media can be challenging for a lot of people. There's a little bit of a love-hate relationship with social media. We know we need it, but then we like, oh God, we got to do it. But I think that many of these tools we talked about today and the processes that you mentioned and kind of building out the game plan first, like sharpen that axe before you go cut the tree down, right? That concept of really get prepared and train your AI to know how you like to say things, and then you can start creating the content and put together a plan. I love the bucket idea because, Otherwise, you just have a bunch of different content. But if you have content that's education, that's your Monday,
Right.
Tuesday, this is what we're doing. I think it helps organize our minds and get our head around all that we have to
Exactly.
do or can do.
It doesn't seem
So,
so overwhelming.
no, it
It's like
doesn't.
with QuickBooks. If you know that you can have everything in one category, like this is
Hmm.
utilities, this is marketing expense, right? So you have
Yeah.
education, you have social proof, you have brand awareness, you have a lead generator, then maybe you have a testimonial. And if you want to have a bonus
Hmm.
credit, ask a question to find out
Yeah.
what their needs are. Get the more you can start conversations with your target market on
Yeah.
social, the better you're going to be able to recreate your messaging based on what they want and need.
No, love it. Love it.
Dropped
Well,
my
that's, yeah, no, I love it. I mean, this has been there are so many tools we have to link to in the show notes, which is great. Thank you. And, you
Oh,
shared
and I
some of
have a
them with,
gift for everyone. I'm going to give
oh,
you, I have a free webinar on how to simplify your content with AI. And it's like
oh,
a
I love it.
90-minute webinar that I'm going to give to you for your
I
listeners.
love it. We will put that in big bold letters,
Yes.
in all caps, so people see that. Because I think we're all in discovery. I mean, at different levels, right? You're at a different level than I am, and some of the audience members are watching too are at a different level. But we're all in it. We need education, right? We need to
Right.
know how to do things and experiment. Have fun with it. But maybe go turn off that privacy setting that you mentioned in the beginning. That's a good idea.
On ChatGPT.
That's a good idea.
Under
Well, all right.
chatter.
So tell me, Deborah, the amount of AI, the amount of work you do in AI, which is probably literally every day, all day long. You're doing something in there. What's something you've done recently that stopped you in your tracks? And even you, with all the knowledge that you have in the world of AI, you're like, whoa, wow, this is amazing.
Well, what stopped me in my tracks was I was working on a project, and I think I was writing copy for the sales page, and my AI was like, it asked me, when you move, are you going to bring Davino, my dog? And I was like,
Wow.
that scared me. I was like, what are you talking about?
Had had you ever used your dog's name in anything that you did?
I guess I
Okay.
had used I don't remember
Hmm.
using my dog. I guess I did. But
Yeah.
that was weird. It knew I was moving. It knew I had a dog. So it was getting to know what's important to me.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that it started doing, which some of you, I don't want to scare you, but it like started kind of like joking with me. So I
Ah,
told it not to use the word magic. So anytime it does something that you don't like, you want to give it feedback. Just like if you have an
right.
employee, you can't just correct it. You want to tell them what you need corrected, right?
Hmm.
Like a child or like an employee. And so I told them don't use the word magic. And then I had them write something and they put the word magic. And then in parentheses, they said, just kidding, we mean synergy. I'm like,
Oh, it's
and
getting a
it's
little
done that like
sassy.
it's done it 3 times where it's been sassy with me. So I was like,
Interesting.
which kind of is weird, but
Hmm.
then it kind of makes me feel like it's real. Another thing that blew me away is I did a dream analysis. So I'm taking a class on Carl Jung and shadow work for
Yeah. Oh,
leadership.
wow.
And so I
Wow.
gave it a dream and I said, you are a Carl Jung expert. Can you analyze the dream? And it got so deep in my psyche that it really kind of helped me to heal a wound that in 20 years of therapy I never got to the root of. So I was
That
like,
is
oh my
that's
God.
amazing. Wow.
That was
That
why
is
I
amazing.
did not expect that at all. At all.
See, that's an interesting thing. Yeah, we're feeding it information all day long, and for many of us who use it all the time, so we sometimes forget that we say certain things to it. So, but its memory is next level, so it's remembering. But the fact that it could piece all that together based off of your dream and provide you with an analysis that floored you, basically, kind of like made you really think deeply about the situation. That is unbelievable.
And I think
Wow.
that's a key thing for your listeners is that
Hmm.
AI will piece things together. So as a
Yeah.
neurodivergent brain, ADHD, my
Hmm.
my thoughts are very scattered, as you could tell. I got
Hmm.
to get redirected, and so I used to, when I was writing to ChatGPT, try to hone myself in, and now I
Hmm.
just am my entrepreneurial brain, which is creative and innovative and all over the place. and it just pieces it together. So that's another thing that if you hired someone, you would have to hire a very highly emotionally intelligent, empathetic, observant, keen, aware person to be
That's
able
a tough job. That's a tough job qualification.
To be able to really not only know what you say, but what you don't say and what you really need. And that's what AI is able to predict. And that was 4.0. Wait till 5.0 comes out this month.
You are you've got me excited too. I mean, I just, again, if I'm waking up and I'm using it, to plan and put things out and get content, I think it's, I don't know, the work smarter, not harder is definitely plays into this. And, whether we're using it for social media purposes or we're using it to plan a business or a trip or anything like that, it's just endless. And if you're not, I'll go back to, if you're not in it, get in it quick, because your competition is already there. Right. So
and you're going to enjoy it. You're going to enjoy it.
Have fun with it. I mean,
I literally have I wouldn't be able to be in a doctorate program and have 4 to 5 contracts right now that I'm doing.
Yeah.
I couldn't do that if I didn't have support from AI to help me run my business.
Yeah, no, I mean, I would say, I can't, the content, the webinars, the podcasts, how would one create all that content? And you're creating content every day for everything that you're doing and brainstorming. That's the part too that I love, is that especially as solopreneurs, we don't have there's nobody sitting in our office a lot of times next to us. That's an amazing thing to be able to brainstorm with, I'm not going to say somebody, with something. I think it's the best way to describe that. So Deborah, this has been amazing. I want to have you come back because I feel like literally in 2 months you're going to have this another level of knowledge and 5.0. Oh my God, it's going to be so great. Tell everybody how they can find you, where they can reach out to you. We're obviously going to put everything we talked about in the show notes, including the webinar that you mentioned. Thank you for that. That's awesome. Yeah, where can they find you?
The easiest way to find me is AItrainerforsmallbusinesses.com and DeborahDarris.com.
Wow, that's a good URL, Deborah. I like it. Very nice.
I also got AIAuditorCC.com.
I love it. By the way, do you recommend that people, do you like, because I know the .ai is out there. You think that those are good to get if you've got AI in your business, or is it fine to still get .coms and just...
I still get .coms.
Yeah, okay.
But I got AI Auditor CC for Central Coast.
I love it.
People are going to be looking to audit their business. One of my clients who is a doctor, pain medicine doctor, was like, well, how can I save time and make money with AI? So now that's part of my stream of revenue, that I audit AI businesses and say,
which I saw that in your signature, you have, you're doing like a free audit. You'll do a free audit or something like that. Okay. Mm-hmm. Great. Well, we'll include that in there as well if you're good with that. Awesome. I just, I'm more knowledgeable, and hopefully the audience is more knowledgeable after this, and we will work hard. This one we got to get out quickly, because I feel like if this is too long, like even 2 weeks from now, everything you said has probably been changed.
Right.
Now, God help us, 6.0 is already out by 2 weeks from now. Who knows? I'm sure that's not the case, but still, we got to move quickly. So thank you very much for coming on today. And yeah, absolutely. And thank you very much, everybody, for joining us for another episode of the E-Commerce Revolution podcast. Hopefully you're getting information that you can utilize in your business. Feel free to subscribe to us on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Have a wonderful day. See you, everybody.
Ciao.
All right, that brings us to the end of another episode of the E-Commerce Revolution podcast. Don't forget to check out past episodes, which are all available on demand on YouTube and wherever you listen to your podcast. Ready to join the revolution? Become an exclusive part of our growing community of emerging e-commerce entrepreneurs at ecomrevolution.co. Until next time, see ya.